Alaska. So there's an Alaskan cruise, and then there's going to Alaska on a cruise, which, check this out. Hey, I'm Clint, and welcome to This is the Cruise, where we look at upcoming cruise itineraries and try to figure out which cruise is right for you. Today, we're looking at Alaskan cruise itineraries, and not just any Alaskan cruise itineraries, but the ultimate Alaskan cruise itinerary. So let's just jump right in. Most Alaskan cruises cruise to the southeastern part of Alaska. It's beautiful. It's accessible, and you absolutely should do it. The problem is that quite literally barely scratches the surface for everything that Alaska has to offer. Let's take a look at a few of these here really quick. Your typical southeastern Alaskan stops will begin here in either Seattle or Vancouver. And then if you start in Seattle, you'll have to stop in Canada, either in Victoria or Prince Rupert usually, and this is due to maritime laws. So you leave from Seattle or Vancouver, and then you're going to have a handful of cities that you may stop at, such as Ketchikan, Juneau here, Icy Strait Point maybe, Skagway is a great one, and usually there'll be a day or two of cruising the Alaskan glaciers, right? Tracy Arm, Hubbard Glacier, or kind of the Piece de Resistance, the Glacier Bay National Park. You might continue on and end up in Seward, Whittier, or Anchorage. Oftentimes they will refer to Whittier or Seward as Anchorage, even though technically that's not the stop. And then you'll transfer to Anchorage to either fly home, or you'll fly to Anchorage and then cruise south. But if you're doing a 7-day, you're leaving from Seattle or Vancouver, cruising up maybe as far north as Skagway, even Hubbard Glacier, and then coming back. All right, those are pretty great, right? I mean, if we go here and jump down to Ketchikan and just take a look, what you're going to see is a beautiful city that sits in the mountains with an amazing frontier vibe, and it's definitely worth going to. Let's not forget, too, that there are some luxury cruises that may go a little bit more and even go as far west as Kodiak. Another option to consider is that you could actually start on land. And what I would recommend if you want to actually get into the interior of Alaska, I know both Holland America and Princess in particular, you can fly to Fairbanks, start in Fairbanks, which is of course an excellent place to start. And then you're actually going to take a bus and ride on a bus down to the Denali National Park, which is pretty cool. And then from there, you'll get on a train and you'll take the train to Anchorage. And Anchorage, you'll usually spend a night or two in Anchorage. And then you will typically take a train again to Whittier, where you'll pick up the cruise ship and cruise south. So that is an option to get into the interior of Alaska, see Denali National Park, and experience a little bit more of what Alaska has to offer. The downside there is that you're going to be on a bus for quite a while. And if I don't know about you, but if I'm going to spend time exploring the interior of Alaska, then I really actually want to sort of control my own destiny and fly to Anchorage, rent a car, and this would take like a week, but drive up to Fairbanks and then drive east to the North Pole, and then drive down and make sure that we get to hit down here to Homer and then back and really explore the interior That sounds great. I have a friend who did that, and she actually did an Alaskan cruise and then did a driving tour where she kind of created her own road trip, and said the road trip was way better. But this isn't a road trip channel, right? This is about cruising. So the third type of cruise, so we have kind of your typical mainstream Southeastern Alaskan cruises that could either be round trip or one way. We then have the land and sea, sort of surf and turf cruises where you may cruise up and then ride up into Fairbanks and fly home, or the reverse of that. And then you will see these Alaskan expedition cruises. So let's quickly take a look at an Alaskan expedition cruise. Here we have Hurtigruten has a cruise that's a 15-night cruise where you begin in Vancouver, which is a great place to start, right? Beautiful, beautiful city. And then you're going to go and spend a day at sea, and you're going to get up to Misty Fjords National Park, which is beautiful. I've not been here, but I certainly would like to go there. From there, you go to Wrangell and actually visit a small city of Wrangell, which is just nestled in Southeast Alaska. Some of these small towns are great to visit. Another place that I have been is actually Sitka. And one of the great things about visiting Sitka is most of the cruise ships are miles north. They have to dock miles north of town. Then you take a shuttle down into Sitka, which is fine. But if you're on one of these expedition cruises, you're actually going to be right there where you tender in. And having stood on the docks and watched the tenders come in, I think we actually saw a Viking ship that was tendering in their passengers. We thought, man, that'd be nice to be right here. We love Sitka. So you get to go to Sitka, and then you will do some more cruising, and you'll cruise Icy Bay, another place that's just beautiful, right? You get to see all these glaciers. Keep going, spend another day at sea, and then you're going to get to Kodiak Island, where you actually get to explore nature, seals and bears. Oh my. From there, you're going to continue with the expedition theme and jump over to Geographic Harbor, where it's not inhabited. You're really all about seeing the wildlife and seeing nature and getting immersed in that rural frontier feel of what Alaska has to offer. Moving further down the coast, you're going to go to Chignik. Again, another small but beautiful place to visit. And then we kind of keep going along the archipelago to Unga. This one is maybe the most fascinating stop here. I mean, this is a ghost town that you will actually visit. And in fact, you come in, it's uninhabited, and it is just crazy to be able to have the chance to see it, get off the ship and go. No cruise ship does that type of visit unless you're on one of these expedition cruises. I mean, you're not going to get it on a Norwegian cruise or Carnival or Celebrity or Holland Princess. Then you're going to continue on to Dutch Harbor of Deadliest Catch fame, get to explore that city. And then we're going to have some interesting stops where we move up into the islands, where we're going to visit St. Paul, which is, a population of 492 people. There's, as you can see, there is not a ton here, but you get to see it and really, again, get into the wilderness that makes up Alaska. We're going to move further north and go to St. Matthew Island. St. Matthew Island is uninhabited, and we're going to tender in and visit this gorgeous area. In fact, here we even see a Hurtigruten ship as they're tendering in passengers, and visit the wildlife and hike around. So pretty cool. From there, though, we're going to move on up to Nome, Alaska, where the cruise will end. And so now we have to fly back home from Nome, Alaska, way up north. And that's fine. I don't have personally $16,000 roughly for myself, for one person to go on this. And of course I'm going to bring my wife and not my kids. So 35 grand for this. looks pretty amazing and really would be that once in a lifetime sort of opportunity, right? But I should score this. Clint's cruisability score. Special shout out to my friend Fred for the name. This gets a Clint's cruisability score. Variety, 5. Of course, 5 out of 5. You don't get more variety than what Hurtigruten is offering here. An enrichment of 3.6. There is some overlap and downside of enrichment here, especially when you're cruising the fjords. It is enriching a little bit. And then a relaxation score of 1.75. What I'm finding out is most of the Alaskan cruises aren't that relaxing, except for when you're cruising the fjords. So I actually give a fjord stop where you kind of go and sit in front of the glaciers and just enjoy the view is very relaxing. I actually give it a 5 on those days, so that averages out and pulls up the relaxation score. But when you're going on to Kodiak or Geographic Harbor or going to St. Paul or St. Matthew Island, you're getting off the ship and you're hiking and exploring. You're not sitting around, just resting. So that's, remember that as we kind of go through this. Okay. $35,000, let's just say. But is there something else? Is there something that's maybe more accessible? And there is. There is. Holland, this year, we were on a cruise on the West Coast cruise out of San Diego when they announced this cruise. And it's a 28-day Alaskan cruise. And this is absolutely incredible. The downside is that it's sold out. There, you may still be able to find some places that have availability for this, but you kind of have to expect that it's sold out. The last price that I saw was $6,000, but actually when it was announced, it was less than that. So for a few $1,000s a person, you could be doing this 28-day round trip cruise out of Seattle, which makes it nice and easy. You're going to cruise through the Inside Passage, which is very relaxing and beautiful. And then you're going to stop in Canada at Prince Rupert Island here, which is a nice place to stop. The stop actually is enough time to get off and enjoy some of Canada and the wonderful people there. And then you're going to move on up to Sitka. All right, so wait a second. Right, as you saw, here's Sitka over here. Here's the cruise terminal. And if I'm not mistaken, that's right here. In fact, there is a Holland America ship already there at the terminal. Pretty cool. But you're gonna stop at Sitka here and take the shuttle over and see the raptors, or go see the bears, or eat some of the best salmon that you'll ever have. Pretty great place to stop. From Sitka, we're going to go up to Hubbard Glacier. All right, we're going to cruise Hubbard Glacier, which is just glaciers and glaciers and glaciers. Hubbard is known for just the massive amount of glaciers that they have. From there, we're going to cruise Prince William Sound, and we're going to kind of keep going, and we're going to end up going to Valdez of oil spill fame. But, another great place to stop and really get that flavor for Alaska. We'll do another fjord cruise here to see some more glaciers. Again, quite beautiful. Keep going. Again, this is 28 days, right? Go to Seward, a great place to stop, and you can see Anchorage off in the distance. But we're going to get back to Anchorage, so don't worry about it. You don't have to figure out how to get there. You can spend time here in this port. Pretty great. Keep going. And we're going to go to Dutch Harbor. Oh, right. Which is actually where the Hurtigruten cruise went to, right? So we get to see Dutch Harbor, and such a cool place to visit. From there, we're going to cruise up. We're going to cross the Arctic Circle. And we're going to go to Little Diomede Island. Now, full disclosure, we don't get off the ship here. We do cruise by Little Diomede Island. But what you may not know is Big Diomede Island right there, that's Russia. And while I know we can make jokes about seeing Russia from their house, the only people that really essentially could do that are the 90-some people that live here on Little Diomede Island. I'm glad that Holland doesn't actually stop at the island unless they actually wanted a cruise ship of around 2,000 passengers invade this tiny, tiny place. So I could see, it's great that we get to go by it. We get to see Big Diomede Island across there and explore. Pretty nice, and kind of experience the area and also cross the Arctic Circle. It's pretty great. From here, we're not done with Alaska though. We're going to go and we're going to stop at Nome. Sounds familiar, right? We're actually going to spend some time here, but we don't have to leave Alaska from here. We're going to start making our way back south, and we're going to go to Kodiak, right? Where we get to spend time in Kodiak and get some of that nature that Hurtigrut's expedition style cruises were offering, which is pretty great. So we got a nice flavor there. Then, and I love these kinds of stops. From here, we're going to spend 2 days in Anchorage. You actually get in the morning, and then you leave the next day at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So you have plenty of time to go in and get inland and do things that typically a cruise stop that just goes there and leaves isn't going to allow you the time to do. I love overnight stops on cruises. Then we're going to go to Homer, and another, great stop. Keep going all the way to the stop that I think you have to cruise if you're going to Alaska. And there's only, if I'm not mistaken, other than some of the small like Nat Geo expedition cruises, we'll set those aside, Holland America, Princess, and some Norwegian cruises will go to Glacier Bay. Glacier Bay is a national park. It is absolutely spectacular, and not all cruise lines are even allowed to go to Glacier Bay. So it needs to be on your list, and when you're looking at an Alaskan cruise, make sure Glacier Bay is on the itinerary if you've never cruised to Alaska before. Then we're going to go to Haines. Now, this is where maybe the itinerary could be better. So far, it's been pretty great, right? We're not going to Skagway. Skagway is right up this fjord here. And I would love to be able to go up there, but port schedules may preclude it from going in. And I've not been to Haines, so, I'd love to see it. It'd be great. It looks, it's beautiful. This is a gorgeous part of the country. Then we're going to make our way down to Juneau, one of the most spectacular cruising in to actually, let me think about this. The only state capital that you can cruise into? I may be wrong. If I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments below. But you cruise into Juneau. The thing about Juneau is that it's only accessible by plane or boat. There are no roads that connect to Juneau. So you're have an experience there just coming in, and the waterfalls cascading down the mountains right by the cruise ship are gorgeous. We're going to cruise Tracy Arm Fjord, which is great. It's just this is so beautiful and so exciting. Then we're going to go to Wrangell, stop at another southeastern Alaskan city. And finally, our last stop before heading back to Seattle is back to Ketchikan. Again, frontier town that is a must-stop place to see. Okay, Clint's cruisability score. For variety, of course, this gets a 5. You're hitting the highlights of Alaska, except for the interior, all of Alaska, pretty much. A repeatability score of 2.85. I would have thought that would be higher, but this is a 28-day, literally once in a lifetime cruise. Are you going to do this more than once? Probably not. So does it even matter if it's repeatable? It's fine. For a 7.85 total score. An adventure score of 3, a enrichment score of 3.5, and a relaxation score of 2.6. A little higher than the Hurtigruten one, partly because we're actually seeing more glaciers with this one, which is good to point out. Let's look at this here for a second. Let's just say that you could do either. So what are you giving up for roughly $8,000 a person? What don't you get to do? Well, we're going to go up to Nome on Holland. We're going to go to Little Diomede Island, which is unique. So we're gaining that. We're going to go to Dutch Harbor. So we have the Saint Islands, St. Matthew and St. Paul. So $8,000, right? We said per person. Chidnik and Unga. Unga's that ghost town. That's pretty cool. Geographic Harbor is very similar to Kodiak Island, just without people. So I feel like that's one of those stops that's sort of redundant. I'm not knocking going to Geographic Harbor. I'm just saying it's sort of redundant. And Hurtigruten goes to both Kodiak and Geographic Harbor. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, $2,000 for 4 stops, essentially, because we are getting to Icy Bay. That's a glacier. Well, we replace that with Hubbard Glacier. Wrangell versus Sitka. I mean, we're going to Sitka as well. We're going to Misty Fjords versus Glacier Bay. I mean, look, you can see how similar they are. And really all we're losing here are these 4 stops right over in here. But we're gaining little swing by Little Diomede Island and going across the Arctic Circle. Okay, I know which one I would pick. So what do we do instead? Right? I mean, 28 days is a lot. Oh, okay, before I go on, I have a special request to make. First off, please like and subscribe. But please like and subscribe. But if you work for Holland America, please do this itinerary again. This year on Holland, we're doing a 14-day Norway cruise. Next year, we're probably going to do a 14-day Iceland cruise on Holland America. So Holland, please do this itinerary again. 2024 is when this one is done and sold out. 2025, we might not be able to do it. So 2026 for me. Do it for 2026. You pretty much have your first customer ready to book. We're all about it. But what do we do instead? Well, my wife and I are seriously looking at a shoulder 14-day cruise. Here's the thing. If you've not, and I said it before, if you've never cruised Alaska, any Alaskan cruise is better than no Alaskan cruise. Please be responsible. I don't work for Holland. I'm not sponsored by Holland America, but I would recommend cruising with a cruise line that loves Alaska. We should cherish this place. And so almost any Alaskan cruise is worth doing once. Juneau, Ketchikan, those are classic stops. Make sure Glacier Bay is on the itinerary if at all possible. But what do you do? What do you do instead? Well, if you wanted something maybe a little bit bigger, but not going to take up a full month, there are 14-day round trip options, and Holland America does these shoulder season cruises, one in May and one in September. So what does a 14-day Alaskan cruise look like? Well, Holland America has they call it the Great Alaskan Explorer. It leaves from Vancouver. We've looked at Vancouver, right? Great place to start. You're going to spend a couple days cruising up to Kodiak Island, get some of that adventure right away. But this is as far west as you're going to go. You're not going to go further up the island chain here. Then we're going to come back and actually go to Anchorage. We're just spending a day here. We don't get the overnight, but we do get to Anchorage itself. Then we're going to continue down to Homer in the Anchorage area, but a different experience, right? So we get to spend time on the peninsula. Then we're going to go to Valdez and cruise a little bit more inland. And now we're starting really to make our way back south and hitting these highlights. From Valdez, we're going to continue down. We absolutely are going to spend a day in Glacier Bay. And in fact, as I was exploring this, and you saw some of my pictures, let's take a look here and see who's in Glacier Bay right now. Well, we come in here and keep zooming in. Wouldn't you know it, there's a Holland ship cruising Glacier Bay. That's pretty great. If you're wondering how I know it's Holland, they have the roof halfway open or closed. I'm a glass half full kind of person. I'm a cruise pool roof half open kind of guy. So there's Holland cruising into Glacier Bay. They're making their way here and they're going to sit here. And this is like 4 miles away and it looks like you're right next to it. So you get to spend some time at Glacier Bay as those lucky people are. Then we're going to go to Skagway. Remember what I said about that 28 day? Doesn't actually get to Skagway. The train ride is the thing to do in Skagway. I've not been able to do it. I have very dear friends that have done it and they went back so they could do it. You can see there's a couple cruise ships here. One is a Norwegian cruise line, and because of, I can see the go-kart track sitting right there on top of the cruise ship. That's pretty sure that's Norwegian. And then this one here is a Celebrity cruise with the trademark X on the side. Great cruise. Great cruise line to go on, but I don't think Celebrity goes to Glacier Bay. Let me know if I'm incorrect on that. If you've been on a Celebrity cruise and gone into Glacier Bay, let me know in the comments below. Then we're going to go to Sitka Sound. We're going to go to Sitka rather, and we're going to dock here where that Holland ship is. We're going to continue on down to Ketchikan, where we're going to go see a lumberjack show, or we're going to go to a brothel museum, walk around town. No one sponsors this, but you got to go to 55 North Bakery and Coffee in Ketchikan. The best cinnamon rolls in Alaska are there, and we love their coffee. From there, we actually are going to go to Prince Rupert with some time to spend here in Canada, and then we're going to make our way through the Inside Passage, those calm, beautiful waters, back to Vancouver, where we will end our cruise. So, Clint's cruisability score. This one, for variety, gets a 4. It's not the 28 day. It's not the, Hurtigruten expedition cruise. It's understandable, right? This one gets a 4. Repeatability, 3.3. It's actually higher on a repeatability score. You could do this one multiple times. Adventure, 3.1. Enrichment, 4.3, and a relaxation score of 2.3. All right, so which is it? Which one am I saying? This is the cruise. It's obviously the Holland America's 28-night legendary voyage, Alaska Arctic Circle Solstice. No doubt, but it's sold out. Alaska really is the final frontier. If you've never done an Alaskan cruise, what's stopping you? Book it. Go. Get out there. Thanks for watching.